Today we built an altar, here and digitally, that holds tokens and pictures and memories of our ancestors of blood and of spirit. These altars are not just for mourning death, but for celebrating life and for recognizing that all is change and honoring transitions. In a moment, I will invite you to remember, in particular, those who we've lost in the past year. We'll remember those by name and light candles for them, as well as for the new lives in our midst. But before I do that, I feel like any ritual honoring the transition between life and death this year would be somewhat lacking without recognizing the many, many people around the world who have died in the COVID pandemic, 5 million or more. This is a tragedy that has changed all of our lives, and who knows how it will change it in the future. I struggled to figure out how to represent this on our altar, and I settled on, does anybody do those diamond paintings where you put tiny little beads on a piece of artwork and it makes a beautiful picture? Well, these are those beads. And Janetta, let's see how good that zoom is. These are very, very, very tiny, smaller than confetti that you might throw at a party, smaller than a grain of rice. And each one represents 100 people who are no longer walking this earth because of our pandemic. We remember them especially. I light our first candle on the altar for those lost to war, to violence, and to hatred. Well, I will eventually. We remember them in sorrow even as we commit ourselves to a world where all can live in peace and plenty. In particular, in this community, we remember Jack Tyree. These are those who have left us in the past year. We remember Leonard Pierce. We remember Abby. We remember Robin. We remember Bruce McFadden. We remember Maria Rodriguez. And we remember Bob Long. I invite you in the sanctuary to speak the names of others you have lost in the past year. And those on Zoom, I invite you to put them in the chat, and I will light candles for them during the next song. Mike Smith. Susan Tinsley. Sam Saxon. Steve Reifel. We remember Steve. Lynn DeVries. You remember. We also recognize this is a time of transition, and the transition between this life and whatever else is before or after it is a mystery. But even as we remember with love the memory of those who have gone, we also celebrate the lives that have entered the world this year. In this community, we remember and look forward to welcoming little Ezra and little River, and Isla, who is not quite as little as she was. I invite you to speak the names of new lives who have come into the world or new lives who have come into your families in the past year. Baby Luna and baby Oscar. Baby Arthur. Benjamin Perez Jr. Charlotte. For these and all new lives, we celebrate with joy, getting to know them and finding out their futures together.